What would you say was the turning point or the point at which Haitian art began gaining international recognition?
That is the point. I came to the art center in 1957. But at this time, the Haitian art have already won some recognition. Mm-hmm. Because from the beginning, let me see, around 1946, I suppose the art center began to have some shows outside, and the recognition, especially in the field of primitive art, was very fast.
Mm-hmm. You refer to it at the time as as being primitive art, and there's, in the reading that I've done, there's been some debate as to whether that's a fair label to refer.
Yes. It's just a label, because primitive here have been referred to any artist who have had no training or no schooling, mm-hmm. but not as the subject are concerned, or as the technique are concerned, because the primitive have done their own technique, and they are as good, I suppose, as the technique of the artists who have learned, but they're just simply different in the form and in the way they express in their subject matter also, because they are more detailed, they are more popular subject in the primitive field than in the work of the so-called modern artists.
Do you think that there's a difference between primitive art and, let's say, folk art, or that there's one's talking about technique and the other's talking?
No, I'm not talking about folk art. I'm thinking more of craft than about than art.
Yes. Okay.
I suppose I will classify folk art as the lantern, the mask, the voodoo flags, some of the folk art. But the primitive art is art, just because in the sense that they are supposed to have no repetition, to be more creative at each stage and so.
What were some of the early predominant themes in the let's say between the UNESCO show, I guess, which was in the late 40s, and during the 40s and the 50s, the themes?
Let me see. We are talking about school again. Hippolyte have been a voodoo painter almost in all the time he has painted. Mm-hmm. So this was one of the schools who have developed the school of the voodoo painters. And then Bigot painted the first earthly paradise and the first street scenes and popular scenes. So he has been in a certain way the father of the so-called paradise painter, and also of the popular, what we refer as popular, just like this group I can call the popular painters.
Popular painters.
And then Dufault have been in a certain way the father of what I will call the surrealism, the primitive surrealism, because he has given to the landscape, his landscape, and it seems a touch of surrealism, because what he depicts is not real. It's real and unreal at the same time. So I will call him the father of the surrealism, as referred to primitive art. And then Vital have been the chief of the school, I call the landscape makers and so on. So.
When did the paradise or tropical garden type?
Yes, I began with Bigot, the first one. I've been the Bigot's paradise.
About how long ago?
The paradise have been painted around the 50s. It's still 50s. At the museum. It's still at you can see it at the museum. This is the first one.
Tell us a little bit about some of the paintings we've taken out here.
Fabrice is a very special artist. At the same, it's one of the surrealists also, because this, you see, can be anything. Someone, a siren, or
keys.
A He's considered really one of the very great gifted artists of the primitive art movement.
And he produced that piece.
He died in 1972, I suppose, so this was painted before 1972. Rigo Benoit has been one of the first artists who came to the Art Center in 1944. He's one of the, I would call, primitive surrealists also, because many of his details, just like you will notice, these are realist in the sense of they are very deeply rooted in the folklore, but also surrealist in the sense that he dreamed that this happened, but it won't happen really. And Peterson, who died very early too, he has not been a surrealist. He has been a very realistic, a very popular painter. He preferred to sing like that.
And that was produced when?
Oh, let me see. Before, very early, in the 40s, because Peterson died very long ago, I think in 1948 or something.
And those are on masonite?
All the early primitive are painted on masonite.
With what type of paints?
Yeah, mostly oil.
Mostly oil?
Oil. They are none of the early artists have yet used acrylic. They have been all using oil. Let me see. Rigo Benoit have never used canvas. Bigot have begun working on masonite, but now he's using partly just like this painting is a recent painting of Bigot, and it's on canvas. But his early work are almost all on masonite too.
Mm-hmm. How would you characterize his style, Bigot?
I would call him popular. This is the father of the popular artist, because his early scene are really scene of the Haitian everyday life, and I've never really been a surrealist or anything of that sort. Oh, this is again Philippe. This is the same range of subject. You say the people are different, but they are really people you can see in everyday life.
Auguste, down there.
Yeah, these are both artists. Philippe Auguste came. Let me see.
What is it?
Philippe Auguste.
Down here at the end.
This is a recent work by Philippe Auguste. He came rather late in painting, but he is considered one of the very well recognized artists of today. Because Philippe Auguste is really a very, very popular artist and very, very well recognized, very successful, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
This is again big. This is a very good carnival scene.
Are you having problems with it?
A very good carnival scene, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
You see, from this three painting, you see exactly what Bigot is. A very typical popular artist who is really involved in showing the everyday scenes of life and people.
You need to pick up this one. Did we talk about this one?
Write the name.
I've got it all. I've got it all written down. There was so many to remember all. What is here? Has Philip Auguste's work changed at all since he first started painting? Has his style developed or progressed to any extent?
What can I say? He has some subjects that he often repeat, just like the jungles, this is the kind of still life, so what they call marvelous trees. But he has painted really many different themes, many painting on women, all sorts of women, just like he has painted a lot on women. They have all different faces. They are snake, they are devil, they are big, they are small, they are short, and he paints a lot on that thing. And he has painted a lot of jungle scene, trees, and many subjects on women. That's the three, I would say, the three things, the three themes